glad to be joined by a guy that's wrestled in multi-promotions. He's been in the wrestling business since 1988, Louie Spicolli, with bagel in hand and cream cheese.
Yes. So the knife.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess the obvious first question is, how did you wind up breaking into the business?
I wanted to wrestle because I watched wrestling. You know, I liked it. So in 1988, I went down to the LA Sports Arena. I didn't know how to get into it or who to go to get trained. And there was a local guy named Jack Armstrong, Wild Man Jack Armstrong. And he was just kind of like wandering around like the ringside part of the LA Sports Arena during intermission. And I just said, I went up to him and asked him, and he told me, go up to the ring announcer. His name's Bill Anderson. And, he trains guys. I went up to Bill Anderson, and I asked him, I got his business card. And I called him right away. And, 5-6 days later, I was, training.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to do it right away. It was 2 days before my 17th birthday was when I met Bill Anderson. And, 3 days after my 17th birthday is when I had my first workout.
Wow. Were you shocked, compared to what you saw on TV as to what it actually is as far as training and everything?
I didn't think, I didn't put the two together yet. Training in the ring with, a bunch of guys I'd never seen before was, totally different than,
right.
What I saw on TV.
Right.
It wasn't nearly as scary or anything.
Right.
Because, going in the ring, my first match was, really scary.
Right. What was it? I was going to ask you about your first match.
Well, the anticipation was, really scary.
Yeah.
I was, I didn't know, because I didn't know what to expect, I was petrified, kind of.
Yeah. Who did you watch growing up?
I really liked, let's see. I liked Roddy Piper. I liked Randy Savage. I liked Bret Hart. I liked Roddy Piper because, not because of his work as much as because of his interviews. And I liked Randy Savage for both. And I liked Bret Hart a bit more because of his work.
Right.
And Ricky Steamboat a little bit too because of his work. I mean, Ricky Steamboat was awesome, but I liked the heels more.
Yeah.
I wasn't a Hulkamania. I wasn't a little Hulkster.
How soon from when you started training did you wind up going to the WWF and working as a preliminary wrestler?
2.5 months.
2.5 months, really?
Yeah. I got there early because I was the only student who ordered my boots and my tights. And when it was time, when they called Bill to get guys to go work, there were other guys who were more experienced than me, but they didn't have their boots and their tights, so
right.
They brought me, and they liked me.
Wow. When you first got there, how were you treated? You and the other preliminary wrestlers. Back then, what was it, 88?
Yes, 88. We kind of kept our distance, you know, but not bad.
Right.
Pretty cordial.
Right.
We weren't treated like, one of them.
Right.
But we were treated okay.
Right.
Wasn't that bad.
Right. When you were there, did the older veterans help you out at all? Did any of the older guys give you advice or anything? Or?
They not the very first time, but they started to after a while.
Right.
Once they got to know me and stuff. But I think I got more advice on stuff what to do out of the ring than in the ring. How to conduct myself out of the ring and, what to do to go about getting more work and stuff like that.
Right.
In the ring stuff, maybe sometimes a little bit they would help you, but it was more outside the ring stuff they would, give me advice on.
Right. What led to you finally deciding to stop doing that, to stop working there as a prelim wrestler? Because I know you did it for a while, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did it on and off. From 1988 to 1993. In the meantime, I was doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
But when the 1-2-3 kid had his tryout, he wrestled me.
Right.
Both those matches were really good, and he got a job out of them.
Right.
And I had already been told a few months before by J.J. Dillon that they were planning on bringing me in full time, and it still wasn't happening. And this was February or March of 1993, and Sean Waltman called me, and he told me that they called him and gave him a job, and he said, don't be surprised if they call you right away and give you a job. They're going to give you a job. They have to. We worked together. We did it together. And they never called me, so I was like, fuck. What the hell? And I got praised because I was always doing so good, and they still weren't giving me a job, even though they told me they were going to. So then the next time they called me to work for them, I told them I wanted to wear a mask, and they said no. So I said, well, I don't want to do it because I didn't want to get stuck in that. I didn't want to get a reputation for the rest of my career of just being a WWF job guy.
Right.
It was hard too to get away from that. So,
yeah. When in between there, I think you worked for the AWA for a little while, right?
I just 2 matches.
Oh, just 2 matches?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was that like? What was the AWA like?
It
Everybody has all these stories about Vern Gagne,
It was so early in my career. I don't even remember. It was just real, it was scary because I wrestled. Actually, it was only 1 match. I wrestled Ricky Choshu and Masa Saida.
Oh, that's right. In Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was really scary. I was in the ring for 3 seconds, but the anticipation. They didn't speak English, and we were in separate dressing rooms, and
yeah,
pretty scary.
Yeah.
And then when I got in the ring and it was over, I was like, man, that wasn't that. But it was scary before that.
Yeah. I know that you wound up working Tijuana at Mercenary. Was it the Mercenary thing? And it was Konnan that you wound up teaming with, right? Was he one of the early guys?
No, he did. I didn't team with Konnan. What happened was, early, within the first year to 6 months of my career, Red Bastien got together with these Indian guys, from India, that wanted to run some shows in California. So they're these 7 or 8 Indian guys, and they had to choose 7 or 8 American guys to wrestle against. And Red Bastien had booked Rey Mysterio Sr. and Konnan as two of the guys, along with me and the guy that trained me, Bill Anderson, and I can't remember who else. But so that's how I met Konnan. And then, seeing him down in Tijuana, I wrestled him a lot. I never really teamed with him back then. But he was just, real green, just as green as I was,
Right.
And stiff and, all muscled out and stuff. And we were both, green, trying to help each other, trying to, have good matches and stuff.
Yeah. Could you see, star potential in him as far as him
going
as far as he did?
It was kind of hard because at that point, I never knew that WCW would use Mexicans or whatever.
Yeah.
But I knew that he would, he was a big star in Mexico.
Right.
And or he would, I didn't really think of it like that back then. Oh, maybe he'll be a big star. Back in those days, I didn't think that I'd get as far as I did. I just wanted to wrestle.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it ooh, maybe I'll become a star, or maybe I'll become rich. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I never really thought of how he would do.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.